From the Wall Street Journal, owners keep zombie malls alive even when towns want to pull the plug. Article starts off with the example of the Berkshire Mall. It used to get so crowded around the holidays that the owners hired police officers to manage the traffic. Today, though, it's dotted with five sinkholes, one so deep you can see the water main beneath. Thanks to closures, there's just one department store still open. The fire marshal has condemned the former Bonton space due to a partially collapsing roof and other issues. Quote, "It was thriving for at least 3 decades," said Wyoming Borough Manager Michelle Barr. "It's just sad to see it become what it's become. In a perfect world, a giant sinkhole would open up overnight when the property was vacant, so nobody was harmed and swallow the entire mall." Unquote. The article goes on, "Don't tell that to the mall's owners, Namdir Realty Group and Mason Asset Management. They consider this property one of the stars of their portfolio. The partners have turned down offers from developers who want to buy the 53-year-old mall, knock it down, and build something new. Quote, we ideally like to hold on to our assets." Unquote. There are hundreds of zombie malls, according to the article, throughout the U.S., like the Berkshire Mall, more dead than alive. The older, lower end ones have lost at least half, and in some cases, more than 70% of their value since the industry peak in 2016, according to real estate research firm Green Street. As volumes fall below the balances of their outstanding debt, owners usually stop paying the mortgages and look to either renegotiate with the lenders or hand back the keys. That's when Namdar Realty and Mason like to swoop in, as well as some other firms. The New York-based real estate partners are among the most prolific purchasers of U.S. malls. They make money by buying malls cheap and keeping them going, even as town officials beg them to pull the plug. Bear said the community would be better served if the Berkshire Mall was turned into something more valuable, ideally a mixed-use property with housing and medical offices or educational space and maybe some retail and restaurants. Really, any proposed use of the building would be better than a dilapidated mall, she said. It's a burden. Wyoming's coffers are hurting as the Berkshire Mall atrophies. After successfully appealing the mall's property assessment, Namdar Retail and Mason pay about $95,000 a year in county and local taxes. That's a roughly 86% decrease from the more than $660,000 the previous owner paid in 2019, and a direct hit to the borough's school system and public services. Namdar Realty and Mason said they have sold only 10 of the dozens of enclosed malls they have brought together since 2012. They currently own about 80 malls. Their business model exploits a counterintuitive tenet of retail real estate. Dying malls often take a long time to expire, but they can remain valuable assets even as they draw their last breaths. Malls typically sit on large parcels of prime real estate, which often include nearby buildings such as restaurants as well as large parking lots. That can be subdivided and sold in parts, sometimes at a value exceeding the purchase price of the mall. The partners keep the malls open, but cut costs by appealing their property tax bills and reducing expenses such as staffing and maintenance. All the while, they continue to collect rent from the mall's remaining retailers. When national retailers move out, Namdar Realty and Mason try to replace them with non-traditional tenants such as call centers, local small businesses, doctors' offices, and bounce house venues. Most malls are not dying, said Elliot Nassam, president of Mason. They're just changing. Their strategy has paid off. Namdar Realty in June reported a gross profit of $86.7 million, a nearly 8% increase from the same month last year, according to securities filings from the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange, where the company's bonds trade under the name Nabco Realty. Between 2016 and 2020, more than 1,000 department stores closed across the U.S., according to Green Street. As department stores closed, other tenants also left. Remaining retailers in struggling malls negotiated their rents down, and mall values quickly deteriorated. Green Street estimates about 150 enclosed malls have closed since the supply peaked in 2008, leaving about 950 remaining today. The firm predicts more than a third of those will close over the next 15 to 20 years. Namdar and Nassim got into the mall business as it started going downhill. They're part of a small group, including Cohen Realty Investment Group, who turn their sights on squeezing profit out of dying malls. The partners have a record of buying malls cheap and fast, skipping the extensive due diligence typically involved in buying commercial real estate. In June, Namdar Realty and Mason purchased the Crystal Mall in Waterford, Connecticut for $9.5 million. It was appraised at $153 million in 2012. They bought Midway Mall in Ohio in 2017 in an online auction for $4.5 million. Quote, you make your money in buying at the right price, Namdar said. The partners then looked to carve up the property and sell off the pieces. This is the approach they took in Enfield, Connecticut, where they bought the Enfield Square Mall out of foreclosure for 11.4 million in late 2018. As of this summer, Namdar and Mason had raked in 17.76 million from selling pieces of the Enfield Square property, more than recouping the money they spent to buy the mall. Making the point that almost any asset can be a good investment if purchased at the right price, the article goes on to state. Namdar has been diversifying, acquiring nursing homes and apartment buildings. The partners recently also set their sights on another property type that has been struggling nearly as badly as older malls, downtown office buildings. Earlier this year, Namdar Realty and Mason purchased a Manhattan office tower near Rockefeller Center.